What's up, everybody? Well, today I am here to show you a very rare vacuum that just joined my collection. And this is something that I honestly thought I would not have been able to get. What I have for your viewing pleasure today is a Kenmore self-propelled upright vacuum. But if you squint your eyes just right, you may be able to see a Hoover power drive upright vacuum. And you are correct. This is essentially a rebadged Hoover power drive sold exclusively at Sears. There's a very interesting story of how this model came to be. As many people probably know, the Hoover Power Drive series was actually made in the the mid 90s. I think it was made in like 95 or late 94 to replace the outgoing Concept series, which the latest model out at that time was the Power Max. That model has since been discontinued in favor of the Hoover Power Drive, which ran all the way up until like 1997, and then it was ultimately replaced by the Hoover Wind Tunnel self-propelled version. This model, sold under the Kenmore name, didn't come out until like either it was 1998 or late 97, and sold under the Kenmore name for a couple of years before being discontinued altogether. Yeah, Hoover still manufactured the power drive under the Kenmore name for Sears, even with the wind tunnel model being out. So Kenmore could still have a go in still trying to be in the self-propelled upright vacuum market. And big thanks for keeping this power drive model up and going for that long. And these are very rare pieces to have to a vacuum collection. There are a few other collectors that have these, but the rest of them have been thrown out, neglected, or just have been unheard of. And I'm just happy to have gotten my hands on this particular model. So, let's go ahead and give a walkthrough of the machine now that I've given you the history on it. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot to mention, I did stumble across this vacuum on eBay at an auction that surprisingly nobody was bidding on. So I put my bid in and I managed to win the auction. And now I have this beautiful piece in my collection. So now let's take the official walkthrough. So right up here on the top is your self-propelled handle. It is controlled by this nice little lockout here that when you switch over to the on position, it allows the handle to move up and down to basically provide force to move the vacuum forward or backward. Pushing the handle down moves the vacuum forward. Pulling it back will let the vacuum move backwards. And you could switch it right here to lock the self-propelled in neutral position. And down here you do have your main power switch. Knowing that these Hoover designs, the up is on and down is off. Some people have argued that the switch orientation on these is actually backwards, but in my opinion, I think the switch is in the right spot. I mean, in my opinion, just look at the light switch there. Up is currently on, and if I were to put the switch in the down position, it would have been off. Same with this power switch on this particular vacuum as well as the Hoover models. Up is on, down is off. So that's my little argument towards that. But that's not too major of a deal there. And also you will notice the power switch color as well as the one on the self-propelled handle are actually gray. I was expecting them to be red, just like the Hoover version. So that's one interesting little detail that you get on this. Also, the little self-propelled lettering on the top there of the handle is actually gold instead of just like silver. So another interesting touch of detail that they did to this model. And up front, it's a little bit hard to see, but here is where your tool storage is. Interesting that the tools on these are actually black instead of the traditional tan like you would see on a Hoover. I do not know whether or not these were replacements. I have heard from other collectors that these originally came with black attachments. And I do remember seeing another version of this Kenmore power drive owned by another collector on YouTube, although he doesn't really like to call himself a collector, but his has the tan attachments. So which ones were the original and which ones were the replacements? That's what I want to know. But this is just how my cleaner came, with black attachments. And right here on the side, you do have your little extension wand and your onboard mounted hose. That is a nice flexible hose, I will add. And this end right here is what attaches down here at the head of the cleaner in order to get your tool suction. One thing I really don't like about these power drive models, and I wish these models came with automatic hose conversion like the Legacy Elite models that were permanently mounted, and you switch a carpet height selector all the way over to block suction going to the head so it all goes through your hose, which would make a nice thing to have. Since you're paying so much money to get self-propelled, why not throw onboard hose in for extra convenience, being a high-end model? Don't know why Hoover decided to do this when they manufactured these, but it's just, it is what it is. So as we move up here, you have your nice gold Kenmore lettering on the front for your self-propelled, and down here you have your bag check indicator, which on these, unfortunately this one actually went missing for some reason, but as you can see the provisions for there, should I find the hinge, I could mount one on. But the way these work is these actually are mounted off a little hinge right there that pushes it out, and the indicator will normally pop out to let you know that you need to check your bag. Also, right here, you do have your little air freshener scent tablet that you could, see right here. Here's where you can mount your scent tablet in. This one's kind of worn off for being in there for so many years, but simply just, I'm gonna clean that up a little later, but simply you could just pop this guy in to have a little scent. Yeah, that's gonna have to be cleaned up later. So, but anyway, that's the best I'm gonna get it for right now. I'll pick up the little mess later. But yeah, that scent tablet is long gone. And more debris of it keeps falling out. Ugh. Now we're gonna shut that back up. But anyway, you can control the scent right here. Also inside, this does have a Hoover Type Y bag installed. It's a generic Type Y that you can get in HEPA cloth configuration. Weird thing on this is that the bag is a little bit small for this bag compartment. As you can see, there's this big open area towards the back. So yeah, the Ys are a little bit smaller than the Zs, but you can at least get them in HEPA configuration. So, Now, unfortunately, I would like to point out, since this is a Kenmore model, you think Kenmore bags would fit this, but unfortunately, U and O bags, the collars are too small to fit this. You gotta at least run a Hoover type Z or type Y in this. So that's the only downfall, but bags are still readily available for this. You just have to get the Hoover version of the bags. And down here, you do have your nice Kenmore lettering on the bottom here. It does have brushed edge cleaning. Your self-propelled lettering right there. And you also have 4 carpet height adjustments. There's the highest position right here. I like to leave it at the second from lowest setting for the pile of this carpet. You have your little attachment door right here to attaching your hose. And one interesting thing, this little blank right here is for where a belt check indicator would have gone. The Kenmore version unfortunately never came with a belt check indicator, but this blank is there for the Hoover version that would have came with it. So now let's go ahead and tip this guy back to show you the underside. Here is the brush roll. This particular version is not original. I actually threw this in from another power drive because this was in better condition than the brush roll that came with it. The bristles on the brush roll I got with it were down to very tiny nubs that it was barely even usable. It wouldn't groom very well, so I just threw in this brush roll that I had in a parts bin. So yeah, the brush roll, the bristles are still not in the best condition, but it's better than the brush roll that I got with it. So that is that. I still might need to source a replacement for it one of these days because this section is very worn out. So yeah, I might need to look for a brush roll for this thing one of these days. So here are the 2 latches that hold the bottom plate on that you can pop off to change out your belt or brush roll, which the 2 belt system is actually right over here. Right here's the belt for your brush roll, and then this one is the belt for your self-propelled. One thing I do like about this particular design is that the brush rolls and sole plates are actually interchangeable from a Hoover concept. So you can essentially put a Hoover Quadraflex brush roll in this if you use the correct sole plate. So maybe if I find a replacement brush roll, I could definitely throw in one from a concept, but I would have to run the correct sole plate in order to accomplish that. And also down here is your self-propelled drive. So let's go ahead and tip this guy back up. So let's go ahead and show you the model number on the back. First, let's go ahead and release the cord. That's very nice and long. The cord is in very good condition. There's just this small little nick here. That's the only downfall. But here is the model number of this particular cleaner. I know a lot of other collectors or big fans of this who didn't know Kenmore had a version of the Hoover Power Drive wanted to know the model number of it specifically. But it is Kenmore Cleaner model 473.38810. And it has a 7.8 amp motor, Series E, 60 hertz, 120 volts, for household use only, manufactured for Sears and Roebuck and Corporation USA. The agitator belt and the bag model number. These are the Kenmore part numbers for these. And you also do have your self-propelled belt right here. And the serial date for these. Interestingly enough, since this vacuum was manufactured by Hoover, The serial date for these is the same as the actual Hoover cleaners. So 0898 would mean this vacuum was manufactured in August of 1998. And one other cool thing about this that is not too easy to see on this, but I know for a fact seeing this on other cleaners that are manufactured under the Hoover name, but these things are made in the USA. So that is one thing I love, is that these things are all American made. So enough of that. Let's go ahead and take the already released power cord and go ahead and just run down to make sure we don't have any tangles. And we'll go ahead and plug this guy in. And we'll get to the part you guys have been wanting to see for the past 16 minutes. And that is the turning on and running of this cleaner. Now, in typical fashion, since this is a direct air vacuum, it is pretty loud when it's running. So headphone users, I would advise turning down your volume for this. But yeah, the self-propelled is on as well. So here we go. Runs very nice and smooth. It definitely makes a great piece to my collection. This is just one of those vacuums you do not see very often. But before we end the video, let's go ahead and demonstrate this thing in tool mode. So let's go ahead and open up this little tool door and slide the hose down in. And now you can use your tools. And one thing I would like to point out, since this vacuum is direct air, do not expect miracle suction. But for a vacuum of its kind, it's actually very respectable. Lastly, here's your upholstery tool. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the tools back on. And there we go. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video on the rare Kenmore self-propelled power drive. Be sure and stay tuned, and don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.